Sasquatch, the moon landing, UFOs, 9/11, flat earth, JFK. All of these things have one thing in common: unanswered questions. So let's get to the bottom of that. Three strong men from the East rise from the ashes of censorship and cancel culture.
From the strange and twisted mind of Mike.
Probably the best evidence for lizard people that I've seen is the CEO of Pfizer. His throat literally like expands like it's like a frog. Might be reptilian. We're not sure.
From the unscripted and unthoughtful mind of Jason.
The Chinese brought these drones that look like birds to the United States so they can spy on us. Birds aren't real. Change my mind. Alex Jones said it. It's a fact.
Also from the mind that is on the edge of the lunatic fringe and reaches far into a bottomless void of nothingness. Byron Dice.
Listen, if the moon landing was real, how come we haven't been back since then? And why was all the data scrubbed and destroyed? You know what I'm talking about? It's just weird. Wait, what if it was real and there's a moon base up there we don't even know about? That would explain Roswell. Dice Man Enterprises exclusively presents a talk show that will get to the bottom of things once and for all. And now here's your host for Let's Get to the Bottom of That. Three weirdos on a mic.
I tell you what, every time we open this show, the intro just sets the stage for these three weirdos that are around the table right now.
Gets me hype.
I mean, every time we listen to the intro, I'm like, it sets the stage for the show because we really are three weirdos.
Yeah, it does.
Talking about stuff that really matters.
It does matter.
It does matter. Somebody needs to know this stuff.
I need to know it.
Because everyone has asked, hey, that's weird. Let's get to the bottom of that. I think that's the first thing that Mike said to me when we met each other. He was talking about something weird in the desert or something. He said, we need to get to the bottom of that. And boom, I was like, well, that sounds like a good podcast.
That sounds like the title of the show.
So I was like, I need to talk to him about that. So here we are, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Get to the Bottom of That. Thank you so much for listening. Last week, we covered September 11th, attack on freedom. And of course, like we told you last week, it was a part two because we just couldn't get into the collapse of the buildings because we just ran up on an hour. And I try to respect everybody's time. If we bump up to an hour, I usually cut it. So
Right, yeah.
We'll see what happens. So how you guys doing?
Doing great.
Had a good
How are
week?
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a great week.
Good week, yeah.
What
Dude.
about you?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Hurt my leg. I took some stuff to the dump and jumped up on the truck and just landed wrong. Yeah, it's like swollen and all
Knee?
black. Well, the whole shin thing. It was weird.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I was like, am I 30? What happened? I was like, maybe I was acting like I was 30. I can't jump up on a truck like that anymore. Anyway, let's see. Oh, you know, let's talk about it now. We didn't talk about it before I hit record. Let's go ahead and get a question of the day out because there's a question of the day.
Oh, yes.
Last week.
Yes, let's do that.
For 9/11. So the question of the day today, I haven't even thought about this. Maybe we should, because if we're going to cover it, are we going to cover the speed that the buildings fell?
I think we should cover everything.
Yeah.
So do you have that info? I don't.
I mean, I can tell you it went down at free fall speed. So
Yeah, I don't have it in my note. Oh, yeah, I do have it. I got it. Okay, so that's the question of the day is how fast did the buildings fall before they, what was the speed, rate of speed? That's the question of the day. And then the polling question, I don't know. What's Jason's last name? And I'll put all the names out there and see if you can guess it. That'll be the poll question.
I'm related to Biden.
Jason Biden. I didn't know he had a brother.
Yeah.
I know he's got some sons. Oh, by the way, the Biden episode is killing it.
Yeah. I mean, I think so just because of what's going on now with Hunter. I mean, now he's going to prison now, but for taxes.
Oh, yeah, the taxes.
Yeah.
is he for sure going to prison, or
Yeah,
is he going to find a way to
I heard the
weasel
other day,
his way out of it?
I'm sure they'll try to weasel his way out of it. And if he does go to the prison, it's going to be something like what Martha Stewart did,
Yeah.
some kind of...
Oh, like a country club?
Country club
Yeah.
prison
Yeah.
with tennis courts and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
You got a jumpsuit on with your name on the back.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
why. I think that's why that episode's has such more.
I think January 6th is going to catch it though. It's about nine plays behind. I think it's going to catch up because they're still talking about that junk today. But anyway,
Oh yeah.
what happened to Russian collusion? Remember that?
Oh,
that was a big deal.
We definitely remember that.
Good
I mean, you can look back in the past and just go, okay, all these little false flags that people talk about, and they just distract.
Yes.
That's all they do is just distraction.
Yes.
The Russian collusion was a distraction.
Yeah.
The COVID mask vax was a distraction.
Yep.
Against what, I don't know. Maybe that was a thing, and we'll probably have to do an episode on that itself because I think it was just a thing of control. Let's see how we can control the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge part of it.
Yeah,
I also remember, like, back when Trump was president, there was something related to, like, the Russia hoax that they were trying to talk about where they said, like, there was footage that Russia had of Trump with, like, some prostitutes.
Oh,
you ever hear about that?
yeah,
The golden shower.
that was Steele.
Yeah, the PP gate or whatever.
The Steele.
Yeah.
What was his name?
I don't know.
Remington Steele? That was a show in the 80s, sorry. I forgot his name. He was MI6 agent, and he wrote this whole thing.
The Steele
hired,
dossier.
Yeah, the Steele dossier. They that was in there. So they hired him to write this thing. So, yeah, it was crazy.
The golden shower.
It was the golden shower.
Yes.
I think that's a thing in those circles, though.
It is.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there. Let's talk about 9/11 Part 2.
Let's do it.
Now, we left you with final thoughts. I'll just recap what we left you with last week. Military spending has increased by $100 billion a year in the U.S. since 9/11. Nearly all of the Bill of Rights have been subverted. Thank you very much. 2, preemptive. I did this last week. Over 800,000 civilians over the last whatever wars have been waged. That's how many civilians have been killed since then. And Homeland Security was created along with the Patriot Act.
Yep.
Oh, hey, is Homeland Security different from what was that? The organization you mentioned me earlier, DHS.
Yeah, that's Department of Homeland
Department.
Security.
Okay, Department.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that was the final thoughts we left you on. We didn't get into the weird stuff that was happening with buildings 1, 2, and 7.
Yep.
Who wants to start?
Did we go over the Pentagon too? Like how that was kind of sketchy?
Yeah, we went over the Pentagon.
Yeah, we touched on that one for sure.
Yeah, how there was no recordings, and there's over 80 recordings, and they haven't released it yet. Yeah, even though that's just public knowledge.
Yep. Over 20 years later, we still don't have it.
Yeah, that's like the moon landing. Where's that footage? With Walter Cronkite? Nah, I'm not buying it.
That's true.
Anyway, that's another podcast. Who wants to start?
Sure. Should we start with like the official story on how they collapsed?
Are you talking about the pancake theory?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What NIST released. So NIST is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and they published the results of an investigation into the collapses of the towers. The investigators did not find anything substandard in the design of the Twin Towers, but they determined fires to be the main cause of the collapses, finding that sagging floors pulled inward on the perimeter columns, causing them to bow and then to buckle. Once the upper section of the building began to move downwards, a total progressive collapse was unavoidable. That's what they say. And same story for Building 7. They said heavy debris from the Twin Towers damaged the building and started fires that resulted in the collapse. And it's worth noting that these are the only 3 steel frame skyscrapers in history to collapse due to fire damage.
Steel frame.
Steel frame.
And the architect that built the towers built it so it could withstand what type of jet? A Boeing.
Yeah, the largest plane in the world at the time, I think it was like a Boeing 757.
So what we're saying is a Boeing 757, I designed this tower.
Yeah.
So if it hits it, it's going to withstand that hit. It's not going to fall.
Right.
But if a fire happens to break out in the office, we're doomed.
Right.
Is that
Exactly.
is that what I get? Okay.
That's what we're led to believe.
Okay.
If the wind blows, it will fall.
Yep.
Speaking of that, I'm sorry to get off topic here. The Washington Monument is just built stone on stone. There's no plaster. There's no cement. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
I didn't know that.
I mean, like if something hits at the top, it's toppling.
So it's just like a big
It's
cement
just-
Jenga tower, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
How is that still up?
I don't know. Either they're lying to me because I get this stuff from the dude that's sitting there with the Mountie hat on, you know, and the park ranger suit, and he's telling me all about this
just
history.
a homeless dude that's telling you some random facts.
He's like, you know, you could knock this over pretty easily.
Yeah, I saw a gust of wind yesterday. This thing he was tipping over.
He's like, yeah, no glue, no adhesive, no nothing. This thing's just sitting on top of it.
Yeah, which makes no sense because how'd Spider-Man get up there and not topple it over?
true.
That's weird.
I don't know.
Anyway, off topic. Okay, since you just read that, I'm going to read this, and this is a bullet point that I got, which I think corroborates.
I guess
Can't talk. Thank you.
Corroborates, yeah.
The pancake story goes like this: the fires from the airplane heated up the columns enough for the floors to break loose from the center column, and then one by one, with gravity's help, the building collapsed. But no one saw any of the floors stacked up at the bottom of the stack like a pancake. They were just pulverized.
Yep.
So could floors go like all the way down and not be pulverized? I mean, would that cause a pulverization?
No.
I mean, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an engineer, but it's just common sense would think that a floor built like that would not pulverize just by landing on itself.
Right, because if it collapsed that way, you'd have one floor collapses onto the next floor beneath it. That one would hold it for a little bit until it buckles. Right, there would be resistance. There would be resistance. It would not go at free fall speed like it did. There would be resistance. Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
He's thinking about this. Jason is.
Yeah, but with every buckle of each floor,
It'd get heavier and heavier. It would.
With gravity.
Yes. So
at some point, would there be no resistance?
or at least the resistance so minimal that it seems as though it's free falling.
That's a good question.
Once you get towards the end, you could maybe argue that, but
you would still see them stacked up, right? Like pancakes.
I would assume you would see more evidence of that than was present
than pulverized.
Right. Yes.
And what about the center column? If they're all just falling loose from that center, why is that center? Is it supported by the floors? I guess there's beams connected to the center, and that's why they fell. It's like the whole thing fell at one time.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Like there wasn't floors, and then there was a center of the column just sitting up there waiting to fall over.
Right.
It fell with it.
Correct.
So I don't know, that official story is just weird to me. But there's several smarter people like 9/11 architects for truth.
Yeah, they are the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth.
No, these guys are smart. They've done actual test in the field to mimic what the official story is, and they can't reproduce it.
Yeah, they can't do it. Yep. Yeah, there's actually a really good YouTube channel out there called Physics and Reason, where one guy, he's a PE, he's a civil engineer, and he goes through all sorts of experiments trying to prove what they say in the NIST report, and he cannot do it. Comes up short every time. But he's able to kind of explain how it happened, and it's kind of explained in the way that we're about to get into today.
Yeah, and then because he actually does, he said, well, I can't make it fall like they said it did, but I can make it fall the way it did by doing X, Y, Z. Right. And he does something different, which is blowing columns out.
It is. And experiments are important because experiments are the arbiter of competing hypotheses. So
say that again.
Experiment
for the folks in the back.
So experiments are the arbiter of competing hypotheses. So if you have one hypothesis that says it happened this way, and I have another hypothesis that said, no, it didn't happen this way, it happened that way, an experiment is what would be the arbiter of what happened there. You'd have to prove your assertion through an experiment.
Right.
So
a physical experiment. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Which would prove your theory.
Yeah.
Or disprove.
There's been zero.
That's what I was going to ask. Has NIST done these?
No.
Or are they just coming out and saying these weird liars?
What they do is they're like, it happened this way because my computer model said so. But the thing about a computer model is you can get a computer model to say anything.
Yeah.
It's called a program.
Yeah, you can design it in such a way where it can say, and it comes out with what result you want to have. So computer models can't be looked at as like the end all be all. You need an actual experiment.
Yeah,
to
you
back
need
up your
real
claim.
world observation science.
Right.
And that's why the dinosaurs aren't real,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody was there to witness it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And when you look at the Twin Towers coming down, one thing that you'll notice, like when you see some of the footage in slow motion, you can notice some of this. It looks like it's being destroyed by waves of explosions that basically pulverized the tower and hurled steel beams up to like 600 feet in all directions, by the way. They found steel beams hurled in 600 feet every direction. But as it's coming down, you can see like little explosions happening before the piece that's coming down. Like it went off a little early, so you can kind of see it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, you guys have
now
seen
to debunk that, aren't they just saying that's just getting blown out from the pressure of the floors falling?
That's what they say. Yeah.
Was that possible?
I don't think so, because then you'd have to also explain why there was molten steel running down the side of the building.
Yeah.
Which
Why don't they explain that?
Because they can't.
They can't, and they've actually said they can't explain it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Speaking of that, my next bullet point says, for well over 6 weeks, count it, 6 weeks after the collapse, hotspots of over 2,000 Fahrenheit were documented in the debris at the bottom. That is over 200 Fahrenheit hotter. That's 200 degrees hotter than jet fuel can burn in most controlled conditions.
Yep.
So,
Very weird. How do you explain that?
So what substance could burn that hot? Hotter than jet fuel? And that would...
Thermite.
Oh, that's right, thermite.
Thermite can.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people think is, what happened here, because there's evidence that points to the involvement of thermite.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
well, it says molten metal was seen by numerous eyewitness accounts flowing from the towers. So you got eyewitness accounts seeing this. You can see it on video. I don't know why NIST doesn't address it. Well, we do know why, but we can't talk about that because of the black van out in the parking lot. Nanothermite was found in the debris of the towers after the collapse. So they actually found, actual thermite in the rubble. Nobody wants to talk about that.
Yep.
All 3 towers came down the same way, free fall speed, just like a controlled demolition. We've all seen that.
Why would there... I mean, would there be any reason why there would be thermite other than it was placed
No.
on purpose?
Yeah, because it's an incendiary. I mean, it would be there
For a specific reason.
For the specific reason
Right.
of damaging the structural integrity
Sure.
of the building.
Yeah.
I don't know who said. I don't know if Susan said this, but I can't remember who said it. But they said, didn't they build these buildings with that stuff in or surrounded by the beams in case they had to do this one day? Like just normally, I got to build. I got to take a
remember
building.
Susan saying something.
I got to
like
take a
that.
building down.
Yeah.
Let me put the stuff in here in case we need to use it one day for a demolition.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know about that. I don't want to speculate too much.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm not sure.
Because I wouldn't want to. We need to talk to the guy that built it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you get him on, Jason?
He died.
Next.
It would.
Did he really?
Yeah. We can't find him. He's missing.
It would seem weird to me, like if you're building skyscrapers, like basically rigged with incendiaries ready to go.
That is kind of weird.
That would seem a little.
That's kind of dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah. It
Like,
seems
what if you
it.
set the wrong thing off?
Yeah, if the wrong person.
Hey, can you go get me a coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the coffee's sparking. Oh no! Get to the elevator.
Yeah. So my gut instinct says they probably didn't do it from the outset, but that would surprise me.
Okay, let's just go theory time real quick. So if we're talking about thermite and we're talking about controlled demolition, there had to be somebody that placed this stuff. How many people involved that hasn't come forward, whistleblower type people that would have said, hey, I was there, I did that. Or is it just so fearful for their lives that we don't talk about that? Or maybe they're so deeply embedded in the government that that's their life and I'm doing this for the country.
Well, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Let's go theory time on that.
how much money does it take to keep somebody, from talking? I mean, hypothetically, if I was involved, which I wasn't,
Okay.
as far as we know, but how much money would it take? I mean, throw me 10 mil. I'm not saying anything to anybody. So it just
Really?
depends. Yeah.
So if you were the guy that they were like, hey, get this guy to put thermite in
It just
here.
depends. Yeah, it depends on what it is. Like somebody says, hey, I need you to do something. I need you to keep quiet. I'm going to say how much. If they everyone, in my opinion, and I always tell my wife this, I think everybody has a number. Everybody has a number. We like to say that we don't, but until we're face to face with that cash and that briefcase.
Yeah, and until you're there.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we all have a number. I think most of them were paid off. Either paid off or intimidated by the government.
Yep.
Okay,
Threatened
that's
to
a
kill
good
their
point.
lives,
I
his
think
family.
there's definitely some truth to that. I think, if you start throwing around big numbers to people that are everyday folks or whatever, they could keep their mouth shut.
Yeah.
For sure.
And let's go a step further. What if it's even that, but you know how it's like, okay, I'm some nefarious guy and I know the whole story and I'm doing this on purpose and I know what's going to happen and that's just me. But what if it's guys that, hey, here's what we want you to do, but they don't have the big picture. They're like, they have a firewall between the real people.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a
Compartmentalization.
contract. Yeah, here's a contractor. Hey, here's what we need you to do. Okay, we're going to pay you this much money, but we need you to do it indiscreetly. And here's maybe they come up with some bogus reason. Here's why we need you to do it indiscreet.
Yeah.
And then after they get paid for this, they're like, hey, you can, and then they saw what happened. They were like, oh my gosh,
Right.
I did that. I was the cause, but then they can't say anything for fear, or maybe somebody visited them. That's kind of two of them right there.
Yeah.
Because you got these black shadowy figures, that's nefariously going, this is for national security, and I believe in it. And you need me on that wall. You want me on that. You know what I'm saying? That guy. He's like, I'm doing everything I can to protect this country, even though you don't like it. You got those guys. Then you got the guys of, oh, this is another job. We're putting thermite in the columns.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I got to get the kids on that one. We've been going through 80s movies, by the way, because VidAngel, we can just and what we can't find on VidAngel, we can put on. There's a new thing called ClearPlay.
Oh, okay.
It's an extension you can put on Chrome,
okay.
and then just watch it on a web. And just anyway.
That's cool.
So we're going through 80s movies. Yeah, Susan said we're raising them right,
You are raising.
but on the 80s movie, we already went through Predator.
It's a
Yeah.
great one.
Yeah, and I said the best line
Dylan,
in all
you
movies
son
is
of a-
best line in
Best line in
right.
cinema
All
history.
of it. Yeah.
I have a buddy that's constantly quoting Jesse Ventura from Predator.
I ain't got time to bleed. You got time to duck?
I ain't got time to bleed.
That guy's dug in here like an Alabama tick. Anyway, 2005, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, released its report on World Trade Center 1 and 2. It was a 10,000-page report, but it does not address the actual collapse. Almost 10,000 pages.
Yeah.
Who's writing this stuff?
I don't know. Like, what are they rambling on about for 10,000 pages?
And y'all didn't address the collapse.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing you should address.
I feel sorry for the people that read that. They're like, all right, we're going to get into the collapse here soon. And they get to the end of the 10,000 pages and they're like, we didn't even talk
Hey, guys,
about
we're not talking about the collapse. What we're talking about is how jet fuel burns and brings buildings down.
Right.
In 2008, NIST released its report on World Trade Center 7. They did not analyze one piece of steel nor test a controlled demolition hypothesis, which is what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Rather, they built a computer model with a predisposition that it was a fire-induced collapse. The parameters used have not been released in that program, in that model.
Yep.
What? While admitting there was a period of free fall for 2.25 seconds. 2.25 seconds. That's how long. They provide no explanation as to how this is possible, since their progressive collapse theory is based on systemic collisions and trigger failures.
Interesting.
My next point, the law of conservation and momentum simply cannot allow for a progressive movement through resistance at a rate of free fall.
Ooh,
Boom.
physics here, guys.
Yep.
Just a
Boom.
law of physics. It cannot happen.
You can't move through resistance at free fall speed.
Correct.
You know why they have to? You know why demolition buildings have to do the way they do? Resistance.
Yes.
They have to bring it down like that
They have to remove
because it'll
the
tump
resistance.
over.
Right.
It'll destroy other buildings.
Yep.
William Rodriguez, a 20-year employee of the World Trade Center, had an office on the basement 1 level. Okay, there was 2. I think there was 3 basement levels. He was on basement 1 as his office. He stated there was an explosion at 8:46 a.m. Y'all remember when the towers? Okay, so 8:46. Get the timeline.
Okay.
He said it was so forceful that it pushed people up off the floor that they were on. He accounts that this came from below him. So there's B3 and B2 level below him. He's on B1, his office. He said the explosion pushed him up. He said he went to verbalize this, and then when he went to tell people about what just happened, that's when he heard the plane hit.
Okay. So he was in the.
That's William Rodriguez. You can look him up.
So he was in the North Tower then, because that was the one that was hit first around that time. Okay.
So he heard an explosion. It lifted people off the floor, and it was below him in the basement level below him.
Okay.
Several eyewitness accounts state that the lobby was blown first. They come through the lobby, and it looked like everything was gone.
Yep.
It was just demolished. How do you explain that?
I mean,
You can't.
It definitely wasn't caused by the airplane, which
If it
crashed.
crashed up top there, why would the lobby be
Blown out.
destroyed?
Yeah.
It would.
You wouldn't even feel the airplane impact from where he was in B1 or B2 or whatever you said he was in.
How do we know for sure?
Because it crashed, only 11 floors were above where the plane crashed into the North Tower. So there's a lot of cold steel in between. So my instincts say that like you probably wouldn't get lifted up off the ground like that from the plane if there's that much distance between you and the impact.
Sure.
But, it is just conjecture.
Yeah.
It is. I'm guessing here, but...
Also, another eyewitness, Philip Morelli. He was in sub-basement 4 of the North Tower, and he states he was hit with an explosion in the corridor, and it threw him to the floor.
Interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yep.
What do you have on World Trade Center Building 7?
Building 7. So yeah, we can.
So we talked about the first 2 towers. It's very strange. The pancake theory doesn't work with
hold up.
resistance.
No, it doesn't hold
with
up.
physics. So
Right.
how it happened, we have no
Explanation?
evidence. Well, we have little clues like thermite and explosions and things like that, but we can't really say, hey, this guy went in here and did this. It's just,
Right.
we have to go, 19 hijackers took the buildings down with fire.
Yep.
Okay.
And kind of piggybacking off what you just said about, people reporting hearing explosions, seeing explosions,
Yeah.
all these, there's like 120 people that have come forward and said, hey, I saw explosions. Hey, I heard explosions from these 3 towers.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of getting into building 7. So this building, NIST says it was brought down from heavy debris and fires that started in the building. But when you look at it, it was kind of destroyed in the manner of like a classic implosion, falling suddenly, symmetrically, and in absolute free fall into its own footprint.
Exactly. No resistance.
Yep. And in the 9/11 Commission report, there's no mention of any of the things that Barry Jennings was talking about. He's an interesting character when you get into Building 7. So for people that don't know who Barry Jennings is, he was the deputy director of the Emergency Services Department for the New York City Housing Authority.
Wow.
And yep. So he was in Building 7. Him and a guy called Michael Hess, who's the New York City Corporation Counsel. I don't know what that title is, but that's what he was. And they were actually rescued from World Trade Center 7 before it collapsed at 5:20 p.m. And
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just take that in for a second. It collapsed at 5:20.
Mm-hmm.
When did people start evacuating Building 7? And why did he have to be rescued?
He had to be rescued. So we can talk about what he said during his interview with ABC News on the afternoon of 9/11.
Okay.
So people started.
We'll come back to that then.
Yeah. So
Or
people
circle back.
Yeah. So during his interview with ABC News, and I think several other occasions, Barry Jennings stated that explosions had trapped him and Michael Hess inside of the building, and that they continued to hear explosions throughout the building until they were eventually saved by firefighters. So what happened was they were on the 23rd floor of the building, started hearing explosions, and then began their attempt to exit the building by going down the stairs. And
Do we have a timeline on this?
No,
Okay.
I don't have the exact timeline on it. But so yeah, basically they're on the 23rd floor. They took the stairs down, and then they were trapped by a large explosion, leaving them stranded on the 8th floor, unable to proceed any further. And there's actually a video of Michael Hess yelling for help out of a broken window from the 8th floor.
Oh, wow.
So there's video evidence backing this up.
Okay.
And so they're unable to proceed any further, but luckily both Jennings and Hess were rescued from the building by firefighters. They were able to get up there and get them down. So, yeah, that's his story. And, explosions are not mentioned at all in how Building 7 came down.
Yeah.
But you have two guys that were trapped inside of Tower 7 by an explosion, hearing explosions all throughout the building, telling ABC News this, and their testimony is just left out completely from the official story of what happened. So the fact that they're not willing to talk about the explosions makes it very weird.
Yeah.
Very, very weird.
Yeah, because they said it went down with fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. While you were talking, I was thinking, if this was hypothetically an inside job by our government, and it was explosions that we detonated, and so they can collapse upon itself, why would I do that? So the question is, why least damage around the city? Because then they have to. If it were to collapse or if the building were to fall like a building should, right, topple over, then there would be a lot more damage around the city, a lot more casualties. So this is the path of least resistance if they would do an explosion to collapse the building upon itself. And it makes sense. And
let's think about this. Since you just said that, how would they have? There's no way they could have toppled the building.
Like get it to fall over, you're saying?
Yeah.
How
would you have done that?
No, like I'm saying, if it wasn't a
free fall?
Yeah. If it wasn't a free fall, and if it was just the building,
Yeah, there would have been a lot more. Yeah, there would have been a lot more damage, but there's no way. How do you get a building? It was designed to withstand, a 757.
And this building didn't even get hit by a plane.
Yeah.
It just got hit by debris, and a lot of other buildings got hit by debris too, and didn't.
A lot of them, yeah,
and didn't fall down.
Didn't fall down.
Yeah, there was damage to other buildings, fires in other buildings that did not result in a collapse, but this one did.
Yeah, and we'll get into why in a minute because there's some interesting documents.
Yeah.
That resided in Building 7.
Yeah, I want to hear about those documents.
Everything about this is just.
It's weird.
Since you just said that, I just looked up on Amazon. There is a book called World Trade Center 7 Examining Barry Jennings. I'm going to have to read this book now.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen? See, I've watched the documentaries before we did this show. Y'all watch Loose Change?
Yes.
That's a good one. Then the updated Loose Change. Yeah, you need to watch it, Jason.
I think I saw the original.
What platform?
Yeah, there's a.
It's on BitChute.
Yeah, it's out there.
I think it's on Rumble as well. It might have gotten scrubbed off YouTube, though. I think a lot of the 9/11.
I think I saw the new one, the updated one on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice. Good.
It's called Loose Change. There's an updated one, which they just go over a lot of the people that were survivors. And I'm sorry, the families of people that died. They were like telling stories of these individuals, the family members, because some of them got remains back. Like I was telling you last week, like some of the guys had remains back where the front of his face was completely blown, but the back was intact. Stuff like that.
That's weird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Stuff like that. They got the remains, and the family members are like, hey, these are questions. Like, why is this guy? And some people got just, like bone fragments, and they couldn't identify a lot of people.
Right.
So
So yeah, that sounds like an interesting book then, because he's sort of
I'm gonna buy
shadowy
this. It's only
character now.
$5 on Kindle. I'm buying this thing because I need another timeline. I really didn't delve into Barry Jennings.
Yeah, and Barry Jennings is supposedly dead. And
Yeah, I heard that once he came out, and I saw an interview of him on the network, and then he like mysteriously died like weeks or months later.
Yeah. So like the last interview he gave, I guess he was in fine health, and then all of a sudden, like, he went to the hospital and was just like dead very, very quickly.
Yeah.
That can happen. That happens to people, but
Yeah,
Sure.
happens all the time.
Sure.
it does. Yeah. And I guess people are not sure if he's dead. I don't know. I was just reading about what people were saying online, and some people think it's weird. Some people do think he's dead. Some people think he's not really dead.
He's not dead.
He might not be dead. We're not sure.
Well, I mean, Jenny. So I need to find out because I don't think I did enough research. There is something that do you have the documents? There was something that resided in Building 7.
What you were just talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, do you have that in your notes?
No, I don't. But I've got to find. Did you get it?
No.
There's something. I got to go look it up now. This is bad. The reason Building 7 is so interesting is because of there's documentation that they kept in Building 7.
Okay.
Like, why is it destroyed and not Building 4 or Building 3?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Keep talking with some bullet points.
Yeah, I don't have that in my notes, but yeah, I can't remember. We didn't talk last time about other buildings that burned and didn't collapse, because there's actually like kind of a decent number of buildings throughout history since like the 70s where buildings were like on fire for hours and just did not collapse. So it's worth noting that there was a building in 1970, One New York Plaza, a 50-story office building that burned for over 6 hours between the 32nd and 36th floors. So it burned for over 6 hours, did not collapse. Yep. Eventually they got the fires under control. Same thing happened in 1991, a 38-story skyscraper in Philadelphia burned for 18 hours.
1931.
1991.
1991.
Burned for 18 hours across 8 different floors, and it was the most significant fire of the century. The building did not collapse.
Wow.
Yeah. These are all, there's like a handful of them that they go over in this Loose Change documentary that I went over, but it's fascinating because if we're going to give the justification
Of the fire.
that this building collapsed because it burned.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Have you seen the top where there's like a penthouse on the top?
Of Building 7?
Yeah. And it goes first. You can see it just kind of fold over.
Yes.
And then the rest of that's the first thing that goes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
I don't understand the, here's a layout here. Here's building 1, 2. There's building 4. There's World Trade Center 6. There's number 5. There's 7 right here, right in front of it. There's a post office right beside it. Verizon was right beside World Trade Center 7.
Oh.
So these buildings did get hit, like 4, 5. There's no reason. Look how close building 4 is to World Trade Center 2.
Very close.
You can't tell me that fires didn't break out in that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it didn't go. And World Trade Center 3 and 6. That's weird. Okay, keep going. I gotta find out what happened. What was
in there?
Yeah, I gotta find that. I remember reading something which made it really suspicious because there's a lot of documents that were destroyed. Hold on, I gotta find. Keep going.
Yeah. So, I mean, while you're looking into that, do we kind of want to get into some of the aftermath of
Yeah. Go ahead and go with
9/11?
aftermath.
Like
Department of Homeland Security and
Department of
Patriot.
Homeland
what have we
Security.
lost?
Yeah, exactly. What freedoms did we lose?
I mean,
And
and there's so much that we can go over from that going into the Iraq War, Afghanistan, Saddam Hussein.
Oh, before we do that, because you mentioned this earlier, you were saying why.
yeah.
But that's one of the reasons.
Go in Iraq.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most of the times that America has gone to war, the public
Has to be
needs
support.
to be
Yeah.
in support of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think of anything, Pearl Harbor,
Support.
Vietnam, the
Support.
Gulf, support.
At the beginning, and then it kind
Yeah.
of dwindled away.
So this one here, everybody was, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Arabs, Muslims.
That's the last time both parties were unified with. I think there was one person in Congress that voted against it because she's like, we shouldn't make this kind of decision when we're emotionally unstable. And then they all booed her and got her out.
Oh yeah. For the war on terror you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yep.
To go into Iraq.
Yeah.
Or
I know
Afghanistan.
I know Ron Paul was one of the people that was against it too. I can't remember if he was in Congress or the Senate, but there was a minority of people.
Right. So I mean, right after this, like we went into Afghanistan, right? We went into Afghanistan so we could find Al Qaeda, and destroy them. Okay, we didn't. We didn't find Bin Laden. We pulled out, and then we went to Iraq.
Yep.
Like immediately after, because they said they had weapons of mass destruction. Oh yeah, by the way, since we're over here, let's go into this country and invade because they could have weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
But what does that have to do with what happened in New York?
Yeah, they gave the...
It has nothing. I always get confused of that whole thing. Like, because I know there were sanctions on Saddam Hussein. Hey, the sanctions, you can't do this, you can't do that.
They thought he was harboring terrorists.
That's what they told him. That was the reason why. But they went in there for political reasons. They went in there for oil. They went in there for
regime change and steal the wealth of Iraq, basically.
It had to do with Iraq and Israel and just the Middle East in general. Like, there was just a lot of things at play that if we went in there and took Saddam out, then it would change the course of the Middle East and it has we know it.
Oh yeah.
Just from that. And so I mean there were so many reasons why we did that. But at the time no one really questioned it. And then the excuse they gave us with weapons of mass destruction, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, as for the public, yeah, man, we don't want those. That's terrible. We don't want those launched at us. And then when they went in there and found that he didn't.
Right.
And still stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't find anything. But we're going to stay here. Just
we didn't. Yeah. Now we're going to let the people have a democracy here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's put in a government.
Yeah.
And let the people vote.
And then created.
We took your crazy dictator out of the way, so now y'all can vote for who you really want. Be like us Americans.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
So yeah, basically 9/11 gave us, it created an excuse to launch a series of these regime change wars that we did all over the world, basically. Yeah, like you mentioned.
They've done it in Ukraine.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Going into Iraq to topple Saddam Hussein, who was not only not involved in 9/11 at all, also did not have the weapons of mass destruction like mainstream media was saying he had. And then we allegedly, and I put allegedly in quotes here because I think we did it, plundered Iraq of its wealth by looting gold and oil from them. I heard over $50 trillion is the price tag on
Not
that.
allegedly.
Yeah, I know.
Happened.
I know. People don't think that happened, but I really think that happened.
Oh, yeah. Did you see Saddam's house, his palace?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, who lives like that?
Saddam.
Yeah. And then going into Afghanistan, there's a lot of, important things there that we can take to. There's lithium mines. Lithiums are used in, the batteries of everything these days. Smartphones, your MacBook Pro, all your stuff. Poppy fields, we might be in the drug trade. We're not sure. We might
drug trade.
Yeah.
Us, the CIA.
There's tons
the
of poppies.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Take the poppy fields over there. And then going down into Libya to kill Gaddafi.
Omar Gaddafi.
Yep. Take control of the gold, silver, and diamonds that they had down there. It's just like a pattern that repeated itself for like a very long time. The war on terror lasted forever. Is it still going on? We're not sure.
Well, they pulled out of what was the war on terror? We just pulled out of what? Afghanistan. That was horrible. Was that part of that?
Yeah, I mean,
was that? Hey, let's get out of here. It's finally over.
That's why we were there in the first place, is because of this.
It's like we moved around all over the place.
Yeah.
Iran. Did we ever do Iraq?
Yeah, we were in Iraq. That's Saddam.
Okay, so Iran.
Yeah.
Were we in Iran? Now, Afghanistan.
Wow. In Libya, which is in Africa.
Yeah, it's in Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what's strange. What you just said. I was in Desert Storm and Shield when supposedly, well, Saddam was Iraq, right?
Right.
Supposedly went into Kuwait and invaded.
Right.
We went over there to help the Kuwaitis.
Was that
That was 92, 93. Okay?
yeah, Bush, right? The first Bush.
Right, exactly. So it was almost, Kuwait, we're going over, Saddam pushed back. We didn't do anything then.
No.
It's almost like
Set up.
we got a second try.
Yeah. No.
How do we do this the next time?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really strange because we didn't do any weapons of mass destruction then. We just pushed them back, said, hey, stay away from the Kuwaitis.
Yeah, I read an article that stated Dick Cheney was incredibly unimpressed with our first attempt to go into Iraq. And so that kind of was one of his main goals as vice president. Like, I want to get into the Middle East again and do it right. And then they just never did. Or they couldn't because they went in there without a game plan. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know the land. They didn't know the structure. They didn't know the culture. They didn't know any of the society. So they went in there blindfolded. They didn't have an objective. Like the war on terror. What is that? What does that mean? Like, what's your goal? What's your end goal? And how are we going to accomplish this end goal? And I watched this whole documentary of how it was just a big waste of trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars from the American people without a plan.
Right.
We were just shoveling money, shoveling troops over there.
Yep.
And they never could get it right. They never got it right. Ever.
In the printing press at the Federal Reserve,
what was
hot the whole time.
Yeah. What was getting it right?
They didn't have a goal. Their goal was to. They said their goal was to end the war on terror. That's such a broad, but you need specific, strategic points and goals to have that accomplished, and they didn't have any.
No, and here's why. Because they were always like, usually you have a boogeyman to go after, which is a country.
Yeah.
China, Russia, Vietnam. You have a country go, hey, whatever you're doing, we don't like it. Of course, when they invaded Kuwait, that was like, hey, we're going against Saddam Hussein and the Iraqi people. The war on terror, it was like, there's terrorists, but they don't belong to a country.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so where do we find these people? Well, we're going to invade all these countries that we think that you're harboring.
Yeah, we can go anywhere we want, basically.
Yeah.
Yep. So that kind of explains like what the, foreign policy agenda was behind 9/11 is to do all that.
But sorry to cut you off, Mike, but now I was just thinking about it. I was watching this video of Colin Powell going to the UN and expressing why we need to go into Iraq. And they said, we have evidence that they have weapons of mass destruction. That was it. So I saw the video of him saying that to the UN.
Yes.
Convincing them we need to go in there. And they didn't have any evidence.
Yeah.
So they went in front of the UN and said, hey, we have all this convincing evidence that they have weapons of mass destruction. And then they didn't have any.
And does just no one ask for any evidence? Like, okay, dude, you mentioned the evidence. Let's see a shred of it.
Wait, did you just say you had evidence?
Okay, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah,
That's all we need, man.
Let's go. If you're keeping it in a cave somewhere, right?
That's unbelievable.
Yep.
I couldn't believe that. I was like, that is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What else has happened aftermath?
And I guess domestically, what I think a major purpose of 9/11 is to basically scare people into becoming comfortable with accepting the infringement of their rights,
The surveillance state.
in exchange for a false sense of security. That's domestically what I think was a big agenda point.
I think that's theater.
Yeah.
You like theaters, like the TSA, all that is just theater to make it seem like there's secure. There's really no security.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There's not. Nobody's going to try to come through an airport terminal with a pipe bomb.
Right.
Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Who's dumb enough to do that? Even when there was no TSA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like it kind of establishes this guilty until proven innocent rather than innocent until proven guilty mindset that has kind of carried forward in a lot of different ways. And It also brought forth the enhanced interrogation techniques that were used by the CIA and various elements of the U.S. Armed Forces that was authorized by the Bush administration.
Guantanamo Bay.
Which, we can get into some of that. So
let's go.
Yeah.
Methods.
Yeah. So you said you found some really disturbing methods.
Some very disturbing methods. So methods of this, I guess it's important to say that enhanced interrogation techniques is basically a euphemism for torture.
Torture, yeah.
That's what it is.
They had,
Let's
they had to word
torture.
it that way so they could get through the Geneva.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the Red Cross and all
Yep.
the people that chime in on what's tortured and what's not torture.
Well, I mean, there was plenty of torture done at MIAs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, POWs, POW camps.
Yeah. That's why. What's his name?
And they did. I don't think they were trying to get in for Rambo.
No, McCain.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, he was a big advocate against torture because he was a.
Because he
POW.
was tortured.
he was. Yeah. So, and I don't know if they're getting information or they're just doing it to have fun or just to be mean.
They're doing it for. I mean, for this was because it was for information.
Yeah, and one of the guys that was tortured, so his name is Khalid Sheikh Muhammad.
Yep.
He came out afterward that said, I told my interrogators exactly what they wanted to hear to make it stop.
And so let me stop right there.
Go.
So that they used his information when they interrogated, and this is what they said. The government, U.S. government, they used that information to go into Iraq because he's the one that said, "Oh yeah, they have weapons of mass destruction."
Yeah.
So they went in there because some guy was getting tortured, and said, "Yeah, man, they do." And so then they're like, "Oh, that's all we need."
Yeah. Do you think that they thought that he was really saying that, or were they like, "Hey, we need somebody to say that,
Yeah.
so we
Give
can do
us a
this,"
reason.
even though we really think there's mass destruction
Right.
weapons
I mean,
in
who
there.
knows? I mean, they could have done that.
Yep. Yeah.
We need him to. Here's what we need him to say, so we can do X, Y, Z.
Right.
And if I put stuff under his fingernails, he's probably going to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the CIA admits to waterboarding him and two other people that were implicated in the 9/11 attacks.
Yeah.
That's what they admit to. But, methods of this enhanced interrogation techniques include beating, binding a person in a contorted stress position, so basically tying you up in a position where your body just hurts.
Okay.
Hooding, which is where they put a hood over your head and leave you like that for a long time, which
Sounds like my Friday night.
subjecting you to deafening noise, sleep disruption, sleep deprivation to the point of hallucination, deprivation of food and drink, waterboarding, sexual humiliation. So that
yeah, just naked.
yeah, and then bring in people to make fun of you or something. And then subjection to extreme heat or cold, confinement into small coffin-like boxes, and then giving you medically unnecessary enemas.
Oh,
Yeah. That's what they did. That
I don't think an enema is ever necessary.
yeah, and that's
even medically.
yeah, that's what we know. That's what we know that they did. So I mean, and
I mean, like,
Now, who reported that?
but just hold on. Before they thought, hey, how do we get this guy to talk? I know a way. An enema.
Yeah.
That'll get him.
yeah, once you get people,
Let's put some garlic and butter up there.
yeah. So
Sheesh.
who knows what they were putting up there? It's crazy.
Yeah.
And former guards and inmates of Guantanamo Bay have basically all come forward and said this, and they also said that some of the deaths, which the military called suicides at the time, were in fact homicides under torture. So they tortured people too far and killed them.
Dang.
Yeah.
So that all of that came out of 9/11, war on terror.
Yeah.
Let's get people to say what we need them to say, so we can do other things across the pond to the Middle East.
Yep. We got this testimony through torture. Now let's go act on it, basically.
Have you seen video of them bringing the prisoners from the Middle East to Guantanamo?
No.
Oh, dude.
Like a B-52,
Yeah.
bringing them out in shackles.
Dude, they have them in shackles, but they're all tethered together.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was weird. I was like, dang.
That
that's-
is weird.
With the hood on.
yeah.
Yeah. The hood. They leave a hood on your head for like days.
Yeah, and hog-tied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So have they stopped us?
I don't know. I think so, but you
Didn't
know,
under Obama there was a big
was a
thing
big deal.
to stop it because they found out about it?
he said he was going to close down Guantanamo Bay, and I don't think he ever did.
I think it's still open.
it is.
Yeah.
So
As
who
far
kno-
as we know.
who knows what's going on there? You know, like the number of detainees subjected to these methods has never been officially established, nor how many died from it. So we don't know those two things. So, I mean, it could be a lot of people. It would not surprise me.
Wow.
Yep. So it's a really scary thought.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here thinking, torture. I was just, hey guys, just don't even do anything. What do y'all need to know?
Yeah, what do you need to know?
What do you got?
do
I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can tell you whatever you want to hear.
Yeah. Seriously.
Just tell me that they have weapons of mass destruction. Just say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Okay, that's all we need. Let's go, guys.
I wonder if they did those questions like that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You don't know, what are they asking?
Like a very leading question.
Like what are you asking?
Yeah, tell us where the
Yeah.
weapons of mass
Is it
destruction.
on this map right here?
Yeah. Tell us about your buddies in Iraq. With
Did the World Trade Center, did somebody blow it up with thermite and then start torturing them?
Yeah, man, it's crazy that actually happened. You know, this is something that's true that we're talking about, and we only know what's been declassified, basically. So let your imagination run where it goes with that. I'm sure it went far beyond what most of us can even think of.
Yeah. And then we pulled out of Afghanistan with the whole Biden debacle.
Sloppily.
I mean, bad.
Leaving
left all the stuff for the Taliban.
Yeah, leaving behind billions and billions
So
of dollars.
do y'all think? I mean, since that's a vacuum of power that's going to be consumed by the Taliban, is that setting up another 9/11 or another attack on our soil? Because we haven't seen one since then, have we?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen again. I think that's going to create instability over there for another country like Russia to go in there and win this time. I mean, because that's why they.
Oh yeah, Russia was attacking Afghanistan.
Back in the 70s. So I think that's.
Do we know why they did that?
I don't know why.
I know why they're doing.
But they
Ukraine.
left a power vacuum. We talked about that in episode 1. I remember.
I mean, they might do that again after they take Ukraine.
Yep.
I mean, just with everything that's happening in Ukraine, I don't know. I don't. If start going on a tangent, but if that happens, then I can see Russia going after Afghanistan.
If they take a part of Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
which I think they're going to. I think they're going to annex a part of Ukraine for sure.
I mean, they already did in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then they'll just take it all.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because they're especially interested in like the eastern part of the country, right? Like the Donbass
Mm-hmm.
region and stuff like that. Yeah. So that seems to me like they might be able to do that pretty soon.
yeah.
And I've heard talks of that as well.
What's strange is, like, for instance, I mentioned Desert Shield and Storm. When Saddam invaded Kuwait and we came to their aid, but we're not doing that for the Ukrainians. We're just sending them money.
Strange, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How come we're not going over there and fighting the Russians back to their homeland?
I think if we did that, that would probably be like a linchpin to World War III. Maybe.
No, it would be. 100%.
Yeah. I think, at that point, it's only
So it would be the world against Russia?
It would be
Hey,
NATO.
get back here. Get pushed back.
It would be NATO against Russia, China, and North Korea.
Yep.
And whoever aside.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I know those two powerhouses, China and Russia. I mean, there's
That'd be a big enemy.
that. I mean, you don't want to go. I'm serious. Today, in our government or our military today, I don't think.
I don't think we'd win. And we're on the same side as Germany.
Wait. You guys said you don't think we would win?
No, have you seen our military?
Oh no, we would win.
Oh, really?
Yes, 100%.
I'm
the United
worried-
States military is by far the most advanced military in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
God bless America. Okay, guys.
Are you just saying that?
No, 100%.
Have you
man.
seen?
Did you see that? Did you
have
see that
seen
plane
Rus-
I sent you
Ha-
at that Air Force base?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that was years
That's
ago.
Dice Air Force Base.
I know that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
No relation.
No relation.
Yeah. I think
no,
you're right.
no. No. Here's why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because of the commercials that I've seen to
I see what you're saying.
to Russia. Hey, I want you to join our armed forces. It looks like Ivan Drago just joined the military and come join me. And then you've got us over here talking about my two moms, and I can't wait to serve
I get what you're
and build some knitting baskets. I just felt like they would pulverize us
I
because
guess hand-to-hand combat.
we'd get beat
that's
up.
that's why I'm saying that. And maybe it's propaganda. Maybe those small voices of, hey, my two moms, I'm in the military. Maybe that's not a really true representation, but they got the loudest voice.
Sure. Yeah.
And maybe Russia's just propaganda going, oh,
I think most of it's propaganda for Russia.
and then the Chinese, you see those military things. You're like, what? I'm scared now.
Chinese, I think, would be the most formidable opponent. But I just think, as a whole, United States and the military, we're more unified as for a greater good, and I think that goes a longer way than if it was for just world dominance like Russia and China would want.
Okay.
Yeah, so I hope we don't get involved, because I'd worry that their military strategy would be like, hey, let's just take out the U.S. because they're NATO allies. Like, once we steamroll the U.S., their NATO allies
they're going to fold.
They can't fend for themselves.
No,
They're going to fold.
They can't.
Without the U.S., they're done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and,
How would you take us out, though?
I don't know. They'd just both focus on us for a second.
Just nukes.
Yeah.
They'd have to nuke us.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, think about that for a second. When you say nukes, because that's world ending.
It is, yeah.
I'm like, would somebody actually go, let me do that just so I can end the world? I mean, what's your future plan? Come up out of a bunker in 50 years? And then hopefully
From all the fallout.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know, because they
I
can't.
hope people don't think that way.
Because they can't come here and try to. Russia couldn't come here and try to take over the United States like they're trying to do with Ukraine.
They've seen Red Dawn. I mean,
that wouldn't work here. Not with us red-blooded Americans.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I mean, it's fun. We joke around and stuff, but seriously, we would fight back.
Absolutely.
Yep.
People would lay their lives down
100%.
for their family.
100%.
Yeah,
The Second Amendment.
exactly.
Yes,
They
yeah.
would protect and do everything they can.
I'd be
But yeah,
listed-
you're right. They
yeah.
couldn't do that, but the only way they could do it is by a nuclear attack.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how many people would you? Well, I would have to say world ending. How many would have to go off? Let's just say you threw a nuke at New York, just one.
Just one's done.
I mean, that's not the end of the world, is it?
No, but you would
Cripples.
You would get the impacts of that nuke in New York, like down in Florida, and like
Good Lord.
yeah, It wouldn't be like blasted out, but you'd get like fallout. You'd get
So half of America.
you'd get like a gigantic radiated zone.
The East Coast,
Yeah.
basically.
And then the people that survive that would probably flood into other parts of the countries where, the infrastructure can't support them.
And then, would it be the same scenario as Chernobyl? You can't go into that. Is it that bad?
Yeah, 100%.
That place is dead for years.
10 times.
Yeah.
10 times.
Wow.
10 times.
Yeah.
What was I going to tell you? Oh, yeah. So, a shameless plug for Joe Rogan here.
Joe Rogan.
If you guys get a chance, listen to the last episode with Tulsi Gabbard. Dude,
I saw that.
did you watch the
Yeah,
whole
it
video?
was scary.
Yeah. When she
Like
talked-
she's saying he's like poking the bear,
Yeah.
trying to get him to start a war.
Yeah. World War III
Nukes.
is on the
Who's
edge.
poking the bear?
Biden.
Biden's poking the
Yeah.
bear? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw clips from that episode where she's talking about the military industrial complex and
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, and how we're funding Ukraine, and it's just I don't. Why are we dumping tons of money over
Yeah, I have
there?
no idea where the money's going. Yep.
No.
Yeah,
We
it's
sure
interesting.
don't.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting that we're doing that.
Yeah, should we talk about Department of Homeland Security a little bit, because that's a part we haven't brushed
let's do
on
it.
yet.
Yeah, hit it. So we're still on the aftermath of 9/11.
Yep. So yeah, aftermath of 9/11. So Department of Homeland Security began operations in 2003 as a result of the Homeland Security Act of 2002, which was enacted in a direct response to the 9/11 attacks. So, Department of Homeland Security is widely criticized for a number of things. Unconstitutionality, they violate the Fourth Amendment in many different ways. They carry out civil asset forfeiture, if you're aware of that.
No, what is that?
Let's say you're going through the airport and they find $10,000 cash in
They get to
your.
keep it.
They could take your money, just take it, no warrant or anything. They'll just take your money, and you'd be like, well, hey, I pay cash for everything. I don't use a credit card.
Not anymore.
Whatever your reason is, you could have had a justifiable reason for having $10,000 cash. They can take that from you, and then now you have to lawyer up, and maybe you'll get your stuff back.
What is
Yeah,
their
I don't
justification?
You could have been using it for nefarious purposes.
Now it's the U.S. government's.
Yeah. You
Oh,
could have
help
been,
me.
you
I'm like, money's not real. Change my
yeah.
I'm going to print some more, bro.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah.
go
So
ahead.
they basically could take anything of yours without a warrant, which it's been going on.
Now,
Since,
how far reaching is that? You mentioned airport.
yeah. Airport. I mean, it's happened a lot of different times, and it didn't start with 9/11 and the Department of Homeland Security, but they definitely have been running wild with it from things I've read on the internet. And they're also widely criticized for mission creep as well. So like one thing
Mission creep?
mission creep.
Okay.
Yes. So they were established, for the original mandate of war on terror. That's why we have the Department of Homeland Security. They're going to keep us safe from the war on terror domestically. And
Thank you.
recently, the Department of Homeland Security has been working to curb speech that it considers dangerous,
Oh, no.
establishing a disinformation governance board to assist with the stopping of the spread of disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. Yeah.
Mal. Okay.
Yes.
I'm guessing that's for malicious. Like malware, malicious.
So I think disinformation is when you tell me something in good faith that just turns out to be false.
Right.
Misinformation is it's false, but you tell it to me.
anyway, yeah.
I'm lying.
And I think malinformation is
The intent.
information that could be true, but it's out of context and the intent of it is bad.
Yeah. Both. So both.
This is dangerous.
And disinformation together is mal.
This
Yeah.
is dangerous.
Yeah. So they're, they obviously don't care about the First Amendment.
I have a right to lie to you if I want.
You do. Yeah.
And intentionally.
Yes, you have a right.
intentionally.
Should you? No, but do you? Yeah,
right.
can you?
Can I
Absolutely.
make decisions not to do that? Yeah, but that's
Absolutely.
on me.
Right.
Not the government to decide if I can lie to Jason or not.
Right.
Yep. So yeah, we do not need a government agency to be the arbiter of truth. Because
No.
we absolutely do not need that. And anyone that thinks that out there, if you're listening to our podcast, knock that off right now. Don't.
Yeah, stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut that down.
Go read the Bill of Rights. It's important.
Yeah.
And guess what? The big tech companies are in bed with them.
Yeah.
They
and,
are.
And if you want to live that way, go to China. That's how that you
Yeah,
will
that's-
live. And they
They
don't like
tell you what to think and do.
it. Yep.
Yep.
And see how they like it over there.
Yeah.
Because people come up missing
They do.
Yeah.
when they step out of line.
Yeah.
It's true. Yep.
And that's not disinformation.
That's not.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
And yeah, the Department of Homeland Security is also just like a bottomless pit of money. It is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very little oversight. Tons of money gets funneled into it. And there's some stuff on the Wikipedia page, if you pull it up, that we can maybe read about it, where they're, buying crazy stuff like boats and iPads and just ridiculous stuff that they've been audited for, and there's just no reason for having it. So yeah, it just kind of ties into, like establishing new branches of government with a lack of transparency, overreaching on your, fundamental basic human rights. Go to the criticism section on there.
How far is that down?
Go up.
Criticism. Got mail interception. Oh, here we go. Excess waste. And the department has been dogged by persistent criticism over excessive bureaucracy, waste, ineffectiveness, and lack of transparency. I think you just said that. They estimate the department has wasted roughly $15 billion in failed contracts as of September 2008. In 2003, the department came under fire after the media revealed that Laura Callahan, the deputy chief information officer at the DHS with responsibilities for sensitive national security databases, had obtained her bachelor's, master's, and doctorate computer science degrees through Hamilton University.
Which is like a fake college. It's like a diploma mill, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, a diploma mill in a small town in Wyoming.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
That's
The department was blamed for $2 billion of waste and fraud after audits by the Government Accountability Office revealed widespread misuse of government credit cards by the DHS employees, with purchases including beer brewing kits, $70,000 of plastic dog booties, that were later deemed unusable, boats purchased at the double retail price, and iPods for use in data storage.
Yeah, crazy.
Okay. You guys need to be shut down.
Yeah, you paid for all that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
The taxpayers on the hook for all that.
Okay. What else we got?
I'm
kind of depressed.
That's all I got for DHS, but just those few bullet
Hey,
points.
wasn't there a show called Homeland?
There was. I never saw it.
See,
though.
I haven't. I'm going to go watch. Probably garbage. They're probably making themselves look good.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we're not buying iPads.
Propaganda.
Yeah,
We're
it is,
poor
for sure.
over here. Look at our children. They have no shoes.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, and now they're trying to stomp out free speech on big tech.
Wow, dude. Because, I mean, so Elon has
Just
bought
bought
Twitter.
Yep.
He's trying. That's just that thing's going crazy right now. I don't know if y'all have paid attention to that,
try
but
not to.
But you know what? The surveillance state was birthed out of probably 9/11, all this stuff, the aftermath you're talking about. Because if y'all noticed how many cameras are now everywhere, that's because of that.
Yeah.
They weren't there before. So their surveillance state, and then they were like, you know what? I don't know if you hear the stories of how Facebook and Twitter and MySpace was created, all of that, I don't know if it wasn't directed by some nefarious organization, because everybody has willingly put their personal data out there for everybody to see.
It's quite a concept.
Yep.
And I don't know if it was coordinated by the government or they're going, thank God somebody come up with this idea because you've made our jobs really easy
I think that's what happened, yeah.
to spy on you.
I want to talk about. I know we have an episode called Big Tech coming up.
We
I
do.
Can't,
wait.
I can't wait for that one because I'll just glance at it right here. There was something called LifeLog, which was like a government project. It stopped operation the exact same day that Facebook started, and it was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
They said,
Yes.
oh, wow. They're doing what I've been trying to do for the last 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah, we've wanted the people to give up their information for free.
Another shout out to Joe Rogan. There's another
Joe
episode,
Rogan.
Another episode.
We're waiting
with,
for you to come on, Bo.
Right.
Bro.
That'd be awesome.
That would be incredible.
We probably have to go on his show.
You guys are weird.
But he had last episode, or one of the episodes recently was with Mark
Zuckerberg?
Yeah, did you guys see that one?
Yeah.
I did. I didn't see the whole thing. I saw clips
And how
and how he invited the government in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, we want you to do this. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll help you out
Yeah,
under the
interesting.
guise of we're helping America.
Yeah, he's
Stay
not real
safe.
Yeah. It basically sounds like as soon as the government comes in, there's basically no resistance from them on anything that the government tells them to do.
No.
That's what it sounded like he was saying. It's like, oh, yeah, we got word that there might be some, election meddling going on.
Yeah.
So we need to do this, this, and this. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
a
that's-
beta.
Yeah.
What a
Beta! That's another episode about big tech that we can definitely delve into because the whole Verizon, all the data that they got from them that is just out there. I mean, a lot of people would go, I don't care because I've got nothing to hide.
Exactly.
People say I got nothing to hide, but it can be used against you at some point.
At some point.
At some point. Ask Roger Stone.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
right.
FBI raid, 5 a.m, whatever.
And CNN was already there.
Yeah. How'd that happen?
How'd they know? Weird stuff, man.
That is very weird.
Yeah.
Hey, that's quick.
Well, 9/11 part 2, we nailed it. Did you say that was quick?
That was quick.
No,
did we go over an hour this time?
we're an hour and 13, but
Nice, okay.
thank you for listening this long. If you like what we do here, please give us a follow on Spotify, like our Instagram page, our Facebook page, whatever. Go to our website, bottomofthat.com. You can listen to the show there or click your favorite platform, whatever you do. You like a lot of our posts on Facebook, so
I do.
If anybody, there's not a way you can like and subscribe. Oh, we have a YouTube channel, by the way. You just Bottom of That on YouTube. You can subscribe to us there and leave any comments you want. So that's somewhere you can follow us and subscribe. But you can follow us on Spotify, because I know when my Spotify comes up, I get a list of all the podcasts I follow just in a line. So you can You can follow us all there. Any final thoughts? I'm kind of tapped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we covered the top. We did.
I think we got it.
We did it. We did a pretty good job with
9/11. If y'all like what you heard, give us some comments on our Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
What's our next episode?
The Project Blackbird. Tune in next week. You might hear Jason say,
Mark Zuckerberg is a robot.